Tonight, investigators say multiple failures could have led to that fatal Air Canada crash on a New York runway.
When something goes wrong, that means many, many things went wrong.
From the tarmac to the control tower, what cockpit audio reveals about the final moments.
Sacrificed their lives for us passengers.
And how people on board say the pilots saved them. Donald Trump suggests Iran may be ready for peace.
They want to make a deal so badly.
But Iran denies it, and the strikes continue, the pressure from some to negotiate. A CBC News investigation reveals how the RCMP spied on Indigenous leaders in the 1970s. The details kept secret for decades.
It's disturbing. Where was there any regard for our rights as just citizens?
From wiretaps to paid informants, what we uncovered and the reaction.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. There is a methodical and meticulous investigation now underway at New York's LaGuardia Airport into the deadly Air Canada crash. Some clarity, some details are emerging tonight, along with a whole lot of unanswered questions. Preliminary information shows there were just seconds between when the plane landed and when it smashed into a fire truck, killing both pilots. But what is not clear at this point, exactly who was in charge of what in the control tower during those critical moments, and whether the air traffic controllers could truly track the truck on the ground. The National Transportation Safety Board is just beginning what promises to be a long investigation, but it's already raising some concerns about what happened that night. Katie Nicholson walks us through them.
As investigators search for answers in the wreckage of Sunday's deadly collision, a readout of the cockpit voice recorder, a haunting record of the Air Canada flight's final seconds before slamming into a fire truck crossing the runway.
4 seconds, the tower again instructed Truck 1 to stop. At 0 seconds, the recording ended.
The jet touched down just 8 seconds before the impact that killed both pilots. It's not clear yet if the fire truck heard the warnings to stop, and investigators say it's likely a series of errors led to the tragedy.
We rarely, if ever, investigate a major accident where it was one failure.
Already, the NTSB has determined only 2 air traffic controllers were in the tower at New York's LaGuardia Airport the night of the crash. A standard, though controversial, overnight staffing level. But
it is not clear who was conducting the duties of the ground controller.
And the fire truck did not have a transponder that would allow controllers to map its movement on the tarmac.
We have no indication there were transponders on any of the trucks.
There have been multiple close calls reported at LaGuardia in recent years. A database run by NASA collects reports from pilots, controllers, and ground crews, among others. In May of 2023, a pilot wrote, "I suddenly saw aircraft Y start to turn towards me. I had to stop immediately and aggressively." And just last August, this. The controllers are pushing the line. On thunderstorm days, LGA is starting to feel like DCA did before the accident there. Please do something. DCA, the code for Washington's Reagan Airport, where 67 people were killed in a mid-air crash with a helicopter last year. Of the more than 40 sent to hospital in this crash, just 6 remain.
I know that I was in a plane crash, but it doesn't feel like it.
Rachel Mariotti escaped through the emergency hatch without a scratch and jumped from the wing.
Then I turn around and I see the cockpit is gone, and I'm like, wow, this is insane.
Her thoughts are with the pilots who she believes may have saved lives. Many passengers say they felt the plane break hard.
I'm so grateful for them. I looked them up, and I think it's important to say their names. Antoine Forrest and Mackenzie Gunther. I want to say thank you to them and thank you to their families.
You might think she'd be afraid to fly after this, but Rachel Mariotti says she trusts the system and she thinks that the odds are quite low that something like this will ever happen to her again, so she's hopping a flight to Tokyo on Thursday.
Incredible. Katie, this investigation is just starting, but the NTSB is already identifying some old issues.
Yeah, there was almost some frustration seeping from the NTSB chair today. These transponders are something they have been pushing for a very long time to keep the ground and sky safe around airports. And then there's the matter of overnight air traffic control staffing numbers, something they have also been questioning for a long time, particularly around the issue of fatigue.
Just another thought here. We know Canada's Transportation Safety Board will be taking part in this investigation. It seems to be raising issues about safety here in Canada, too.
Yeah, the TSB chair says they have been warning about so-called runway incursions for the last 15 years. That's when a person or vehicle is on the tarmac that shouldn't be. And in 2024, they logged the highest number of incursions, more than 600.
All right, thank you. That is Katie Nicholson at LaGuardia tonight. We are also learning more tonight about those 2 Canadian pilots who were killed. Jamie Strachan with how they're being remembered.
As the investigation into the deadly Air Canada crash moves forward in New York, many in Canada are grieving the loss of the 2 pilots, Mackenzie Gunther and Antoine Forêt. Forêt is from Coteau-du-Lac, Quebec, being remembered by his brother in a Facebook post. In French, he wrote, "Have a good flight, my brother. Oh yes, we've heard that phrase often, but this time it will be the last. You were always coming and going, always full of new projects. You left us again too soon." At the school where Forêt learned to fly, the director calls his death devastating.
Antoine was really a nice student. Kind of people always smiling and really enjoying flying aircraft.
Gunther learned how to fly here at Seneca College in Peterborough, Ontario, where flags are now flying at half-mast. He graduated in 2023, but during his time here made strong connections in the community.
Everything I know about Mackenzie, he did with excellence.
Gunther spent many hours at this Peterborough coffee shop, chatting with owner Daniel Barreau.
Really good sense of humor. He'd always kind of laugh and smile, stay positive. You'd never hear a bad word out of his mouth. Just a great dude.
Passengers on board the jet when it crashed praised the pilot's actions.
Honestly, what the pilots did there, I believe, saved many lives on that flight, and my heart's just broken for them.
Longtime pilots agree.
Absolutely nothing they could have done, nothing they did wrong, and they just were going to work.
Back in Peterborough, Bureau is planning a memorial for Gunther.
It'd be great to come together as a community and have cold brew in honor of him and sign a little card that we could send to his family and loved ones, just letting them know like the impact he had on our lives.
Remembering a friend gone too soon. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Peterborough, Ontario.
In Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump is adamant talks are underway with Iran to end the war and that they're making progress. But as Katie Simpson tells us from Doha, Qatar, Iran is continuing with its show of force across the Middle East.
The attacks keep coming. A barrage of Iranian missiles fired at Israel. Homes destroyed in Tel Aviv. No sign the regime is letting up, despite the U.S. suggesting Iran is looking for an off-ramp.
Well, they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal.
Donald Trump says negotiations with Iran are ongoing and that the regime offered up a goodwill gesture, something to do with the Strait of Hormuz, Trump says, offering few details.
It was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money, and they said they were going to give it, so that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Iran on Monday denied that talks were taking place, as there is confusion about what is happening behind closed doors. Another front in this war rages on. Israel pounding what it says are Hezbollah targets, the Iranian-backed militant group in Lebanon. Significant destruction amid the intense fighting. 1.1 million people are displaced, more than 1,000 people killed, according to Lebanese officials. Israel's defense minister says Israel will control part of southern Lebanon with the creation of a new security zone. Nearly a month into this war in the Middle East, civilians across the region are adapting. In Qatar, offices are reopening, the country's remote work directive lifted.
We're in the heart of Doha's financial district, and it's not nearly as busy as it normally would be. You can really sense the apprehension here, even as people tell us they feel safe.
We do take extra precaution for personnel, for the safety, ensure people know what to do, where to hide, and of course we listen to what the government has to say.
Some parents say their kids don't even flinch anymore when the government sends text alerts warning of a possible attack.
Even the alert, initially it was when they hear the alert, it's like a little bit, my little one, he was crying. Then after that, it's like becoming one of the ringing phone, it's something very normal for them.
Qatar's government is calling for de-escalation, though it is not involved in those peace talks. Pakistan is offering to host discussions and serve as mediator.
And Katie, there are also these new reports about a U.S. peace plan proposal.
Yeah, the New York Times and Reuters are both reporting that the U.S. has presented Iran a 15-point plan to end the war. While details are not yet public, we already know some of what Donald Trump wants. That includes getting Iran to agree to never pursue a nuclear weapon.
All right, thank you. That is Katie Simpson in Doha, Qatar tonight. Here at home, the federal minimum wage is set to go up next week. On April the 1st, it will rise 2.1% or 40 cents from $17.75 to $18.15 an hour. The federal wage was introduced in 2021 and it's adjusted every year to keep in line with inflation. Well, a CBC News investigation is revealing a decades-old RCMP spying program. It targeted Indigenous groups and people and is detailed in thousands of once-secret documents obtained by CBC News. Brett Forrester has the exclusive details.
It was the 1970s and Indigenous people were organizing like never before. A people's movement growing across the country and abroad. Canadians were watching, soon the Mounties were too.
It was very overt. They would park right in front of the Indian Brotherhood office, the Dene Nation office, and they were taking pictures of everybody.
And now Dene leader George Erasmus knows how far it went. CBC News has obtained thousands of pages of once secret spy files, each marked as racial intelligence by the now disbanded RCMP security service. The files reveal extensive surveillance of legitimate Indigenous groups and high-profile leaders seen as threats for demanding change.
We wanted it to be a country where Indigenous people were recognized the way they should be. We were never threatening this country, we were building it. We still are.
I obtained the papers after more than 3 years of fighting under access to information law. They reveal hundreds of surveillance reports, names of 150 RCMP members involved, hundreds of Indigenous people surveilled, and at least 30 Indigenous organizations targeted, turning the security service into a repository of general information on Natives for the Liberal government.
It's disturbing. Where was there any regard for our rights? Our rights as just citizens.
The methods were intrusive, paid informants to infiltrate movements.
It was strategic in two senses. One is that they could get valuable information about them, but two, it would sow the seeds of doubt and fracture movements from within.
And now confirmation the Mounties wiretapped phones.
Technical sources were used somewhat sparingly, so I was told by ex-Mounties. The fact that they're being used here suggests that I would think that it's a fairly high-profile target.
This is a spy story, sure, but it's also a story of movements that proved too resilient to suppress. The report is based on 6,000 documents finally shared with CBC, but Library and Archives Canada estimates there could be up to 100,000 pages of paper potentially relevant to these programs, Adrian.
Watching the item, number one question, what does the RCMP have to say about this?
We've been going back and forth with the RCMP for exactly 4 months now, dating back to November 2025. They have made a decision to officially decline to comment on any of these historical operations. I did speak to a spokesperson today. They said the RCMP is a changed organization 50 years later and takes repairing relationships with Indigenous communities seriously.
Okay, Brett Forrester, thank you. We will have your full investigation in about 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Now, this investigation is generating loads of reaction tonight, including calls for accountability and an apology. Olivia Stefanovic picks up that part of the story.
Is the federal government still spying on Indigenous groups?
No. Look, the reports that I've seen this morning are obviously disturbing.
The public safety minister says surveillance against Indigenous organizations is over.
This is another area where we need to ensure that that Indigenous people have the answers that they require in order to ensure that there's better trust between law enforcement.
This after a CBC News investigation revealed an extensive RCMP spying program in the 1970s.
This still impacts the trust that Inuit have in these institutions.
If it happened to all my predecessors, I'm not sure that it's not happening to myself.
The Assembly of First Nations is calling for an investigation as part of a larger inquiry into systemic racism in policing.
We really have to change the way we do things in our country to work more closely together rather than spying on each other.
I was absolutely floored to learn about this operation.
The NDP's public safety critic is also pushing for public hearings and the release of all files related to spying on Indigenous people.
The overreach of government knows no bound.
It wasn't all that long ago that the federal government was chastised for how it tracked First Nations advocate Cindy Blackstock. In 2013, the Privacy Commissioner said it went too far monitoring her social media.
I still remember to this day just being absolutely shocked at the level of surveillance. It has a real risk of creating a chill effect where you feel like you can't speak up anymore.
The public safety minister says he will follow up with the RCMP and the Assembly of First Nations. Its national chief is also demanding a public apology delivered by the Prime Minister. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
6 weeks after the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting, the BC MP for the area is sharing how a student helped two of her classmates who'd been shot.
Christina, during the shooting, grabbed wounded Maya in her left arm like this, and grabbed Abel Jr. in her right arm like this, and proceeded to pull them both under the table for protection. She held them both and was there for about 30 minutes while the shooting continued in the aftermath that followed. Maya is recovering in hospital today, I know in part thanks to Christina. But sadly, as you all know, Abel Jr. died. Abel Jr., while appearing to know he was dying, asked Christina to pass along a message to his mom and dad. Tell my mom and dad that I love them. Christina promised Abel Jr. she would pass it on, and she did.
The shooting left 8 people dead, including 6 children. Earlier this month, Maya Gabella's family launched a lawsuit against OpenAI after the company failed to report the shooter's online activity to police. Well, a scathing new report deems Canada's sports system is unsafe.
It creates also a culture of silencing. People will not speak.
The calls for sweeping changes and more funding next. Toronto unveils its World Cup renovations.
I've been up there. It's a spectacular view and it feels perfectly sturdy and safe.
But will the stadium upgrades be enough? Plus, the 11-year-old who made this shot. The backwards buzzer beater in our moment. We're back in 2. Boy, look at that. Yet another snowstorm is pounding much of Newfoundland, closing schools, disrupting flights, creating a mess on the roads and sidewalks. A winter blast in spring is, yes, common for the province, but still miserable.
I have a back pain.
A little bit dejected, but not surprised.
There's no enjoying this. This is slop. Come on, spring.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
No kidding. Environment Canada warnings are in effect for blizzard-like conditions that are expected to continue overnight. Well, a sweeping new report found maltreatment is happening across all levels of sport in Canada. And as Ashley Burke explains, with nearly 100 calls to action, the findings describe a broken system desperate for an overhaul and more funding.
Hold it!
There were high points at this year's Winter Olympics, but Canada's showing was the worst in decades. That led to calls for more funding. Now a new report is making that same demand.
An underfunded sports system is an unsafe sports system.
After nearly 2 years of work, a commission found the magnitude of abuse tolerated in Canadian sports is unacceptable and that a funding crisis is part of the problem.
Since 2005, there has not been any increase in funding to support sport, and that has particular application or relevance for our national level athletes.
Without more funding, the Commission says there isn't enough oversight, accountability, or the systems in place to properly address abuse.
It creates also a culture of silencing. People will not speak by fear of losing the very meager funding that they have.
This is absolutely critically urgent.
Amelia Klein is an advocate and former elite gymnast who spoke to the Commission. Klein says she suffered psychological and physical abuse by her coaches. Even though she reported it in 2003, she says a coach went on to the Olympics the next year.
It is incredibly frustrating to know that victim survivors have been advocating for change for decades and no one has done anything. And I think the real concern is that we're going to see another cycle of that happening.
Canada's Secretary of State for Sports says the government is revamping the sports system.
We want to ensure that that increases funding at all levels of government. I strongly believe that sport isn't exclusively a federal jurisdiction, but we welcome the report.
But the government won't say when it will increase funding or by how much. This report strongly urges Ottawa to consider new sources of revenue, including taxes on sports betting and professional sports. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Returning to our CBC News investigation, how the RCMP spied on the Indigenous rights movement in the 1970s.
We knew there were informants among us, and we were always guessing which ones they were.
What's revealed in the more than 6,000 secret police documents we obtained?
How does it feel to see all that laid out in detail 50 years later?
In black and white. Terrible. I hope they're not doing it now.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. NASA says it's going to build on the moon. The agency is canceling the deployment of an orbiting space station and instead says it will use parts to construct an American base on the moon's surface.
The moon base will not appear overnight. We will invest approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years and build it through dozens of missions, working together with commercial and international partners towards a deliberate and achievable plan.
So NASA calls the project ambitious and says it is essential to America's future. It is part of the agency's flagship moon program, Artemis. Well, with 3 months to go until the 2026 FIFA World Cup, the upgrades to Toronto Stadium are being unveiled. But as Michelle Song shows us, the temporary additions are getting some mixed reaction about this city's capacity to host the global event.
3, 2, 1.
Just in time for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, key renovations are finished at BMO Field, home to Toronto FC.
We have transformed this venue for the world's biggest sporting event.
The venue will host Team Canada's home opener, one of 6 matches. And to meet FIFA standards, about 17,000 temporary seats were added to the stadium's 29,000 permanent ones.
Temporary seating, I'm a little worried about that because, you know, it's shaky.
It feels a bit like trying to just get it together last minute. It's also really ugly.
But organizers say fans shouldn't worry.
I've been up there. It's a spectacular view and it feels perfectly sturdy and safe.
The $146 million expansion does include permanent upgrades, like new LED screens and better lighting.
This has some elements of being world-class, but it falls short of the mark.
This soccer commentator says the stadium's renovations are a missed opportunity.
Big events like the World Cup and Olympics provide the opportunity to go above and beyond and project for the future, rather doing something to tick the box for the now.
But Toronto FC and the CFL's Argonauts, who play at BMO Field, don't consistently draw sellout crowds.
There's no justification for
expanding the stadium permanently to 45,000 because neither of the two teams have shown an ability to regularly draw attendance that would warrant that.
The city says the renovations have gone through many levels of approvals to meet safety standards, and the Toronto's plan to deal with the influx of people and traffic will be expected later this week. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, let's dig a little deeper into that CBC News investigation about the RCMP's extensive spying program targeting Indigenous groups in the 1970s. Brett Forster now with the scope and the impact of that surveillance decades later.
The Mounties called it the Native Extremism Program, a secret program of penetration, neutralization, and human source development of extensive scope.
This was an unnecessary, dangerous times.
An enduring impact.
You know, when you start checking under the bed and behind your nightstand.
Rocked by resistance in the 1970s, the Canadian government responded.
This didn't look like just monitoring for potential violent threats. This was a counterinsurgency program.
Revealed in newly declassified, self-styled racial intelligence files, this is how the RCMP security service spied on Indigenous movements for years.
It was very invasive.
I knew from a very young age to be careful.
There were always rumors. Rumors of infiltrators and provocateurs. From rumors flowed suspicion, and from suspicion, paranoia. Doreen Manuel was only a teenager, but she quickly learned caution.
We knew there were informants among us, and we were always guessing which ones they were.
But now she has evidence. More than 6,000 pages of once secret intelligence reports obtained by CBC Indigenous. In the shadow of her father, famed Secwepemc leader George Manuel, Doreen is trying to solve a mystery. Who in his inner circle was spying on him for the Canadian government?
There's two names that I found where I'm pretty certain that's who they're talking about. How confident am I? I would have to get through that whole pile of documents.
Those papers give a look inside the security service as its counter-subversion branch responded to what it called the radical ferment of the 1960s.
Red power, black power, these were two areas of huge concern in the RCMP and in higher levels of the Canadian government.
Historian Steve Hewitt says the Pierre Trudeau government encouraged a new aggressive stance following the 1970 October crisis. A British diplomat was kidnapped, a Quebec minister murdered. In response, the Mounties went on offense.
Trying to steer events, trying to disrupt, this becomes the pattern in the 1970s in a wide number of areas, including separatists, including the far left, and potentially including Indigenous groups.
Prominent subjects included future national chiefs like David Ahenekyu, Noel Starblanket, George Erasmus, and Phil Fontaine.
A lot of these people were household names, and it's just fascinating to see that they were also, regularly spied on.
George Manuel wasn't a militant, but he wasn't a typical politician either.
When you find 90% of our Indian people in Canada who are in welfare, people who are starving in a very rich country in Canada, to me, is a form of subtle genocide.
Manuel led the National Indian Brotherhood, known today as the Assembly of First Nations, from 1970 to 1976. He was leading the resistance to Trudeau's plan to assimilate Indigenous people into the mainstream. First, they observed him. Then they tracked him. They gave him a target number, D937-8819. Then came the infiltration, informers in his inner circle for 5 years straight. Described as a reliable source, well acquainted with the National Indian Brotherhood, the infiltrator was code-numbered A-828.
It really breaks my heart to see how targeted he was, because I was really under the assumption that all of our people followed and believed him, because the massive numbers did.
While Manuel wasn't a radical, a new movement was sweeping through with a different kind of activism that saw him as too moderate. Youth-driven, impatient, hungry for change, it was called Red Power. The movement landed here in 1973 when 200 activists stormed and occupied Ottawa's Department of Indian Affairs. That caught the security service unprepared and unable to respond, convincing the Mounties to embark on an extensive program of human source development. In other words, informant recruitment.
When you're targeting groups that don't resemble you, one of the ways that you do it is by recruiting informants from within the targeted group.
Then in July 1974, about 150 activists took up arms and seized Anishinaabe Park in Kenora, Ontario.
Leader Louis Cameron claimed support from Quakers, unions, universities, Roman Catholics, and communists. Cameron says he's not a communist.
In September, the Native Peoples Caravan drove across the country to Ottawa, culminating in this. An RCMP riot squad clashed with 200 protesters. Caravanners later said it was the RCMP that rioted, but the Mounties shifted the focus onto the communists. So what were the Mounties thinking? I tried calling a number of former RCMP officers named in the documents.
Hello? I think you hung up.
I would have to refer it to the RCMP.
Finally, we reached retired officer Greg Savicki.
The Communist Party of Canada were quite big, and they were trying to get in with the natives to influence them.
Savicki was investigating communist activity in Ottawa in the early 1970s. Later, he worked on Sudbury's Native Extremism Desk.
We weren't looking at them per se, it was the outside influences, and we wanted to make sure that they realized that there was outside influences that were trying to get in there.
But soon they were seeing dangerous radicals everywhere, even in well-known moderates like Métis leader Tony Belcourt.
It just reveals in spades the attitude of the government towards us, the colonial attitude towards Indigenous people.
Belcourt was founding president of the Native Council of Canada, representing Métis and non-status First Nations people. A dossier on him was opened by 1972. In 1973, an RCMP surveillance detail wound up outside his home.
I'm not surprised. We were agitating and we were saying all kinds of things that were not subversive, but we wanted to get attention.
Gloria George was the first woman to lead the Native Council of Canada. Her name surfaces in intelligence reports from 1974 and 1975. The Mounties were penetrating protests and producing extensive reports. The use of what they called full-time human sources proved extremely effective. How does it feel to see all that laid out in detail 50 years later?
In black and white, terrible. I hope they're not doing it now.
The Canadian Security Intelligence Service can speak to that. Does CSIS today pay informers to penetrate groups like the Assembly of First Nations?
So when we talk about how we don't investigate lawful protest advocacy or dissent, and we talk about that threshold of having the reasonable grounds to suspect a threat of serious violence, we don't investigate organizations or groups or communities, we investigate threats.
CSIS has that restriction now because of what the Mounties did then. In 1975, the native extremism policy allowed monitoring of even legitimate activities. NIB became interest area number 2, their office infiltrated, their leaders followed, and then their phones were tapped. The Electronic Surveillance Branch produced more than 150 reports about NIB in just 1 year. There were 27 reports in July 1975 alone.
I think this is a massive violation of Indigenous political rights, human rights, and privacy. This is a morally reprehensible program that sought to criminalize legitimate political organizing.
Professor Shiri Pasternak is shocked by what she sees.
They were collecting intelligence clearly in order to disrupt and create turmoil within these movements. This is the kind of information that you gather in order to engage in divide and conquer tactics.
Doreen Manuel has a message for those informers.
Do the right thing and report. How is the government going to hurt you today? Report and talk and tell everybody and make the government accountable.
In August 1975, this little note, a tiny piece of paper, was stapled to the outside of the file. The National Indian Brotherhood is a legitimate national Indian organization and does not comprise a threat to the nation's security in any form. But even being legitimate didn't stop the spying. Far from it. The NIB dossier grew by another 1,000 pages by 1983. The native extremism program was far from finished.
In part 2 of our investigative unit's year-long investigation into Canada's security apparatus spying on Indigenous organizations, Brett Forster explains why the Dene Nation became a target and the tactic used to monitor them.
By the mid-1970s, the RCMP's native extremism program had a new target here in Yellowknife, the Dene Nation, where George Erasmus is used to being spied on.
Because it's been happening for so long, it's just become second nature.
The respected Dene leader has always known the state was watching him. That's why he laughs at first.
Oh my God.
But even he's stunned to learn the RCMP Security Service had paid sources targeted specifically against the Dene Nation, 5 of them, when Erasmus was president in 1978. 4 were casuals, but the 5th was paid $300 a month, $6 an hour, plus expenses. A full-time spy.
That's quite astounding. 5 people. Wow. Yeah. Why? Why?
To really understand that, we have to rewind.
Either negotiate with us for meaningful results, positive results, or you're going to have to kill us.
Wounded Knee. In February 1973, the American Indian movement seized this village on Pine Ridge Reservation, South Dakota. It ignited a deadly 71-day armed confrontation. It galvanized a broader fight for Indigenous rights, and it would also have a little-known connection to Yellowknife.
So when I got there, I saw South Dakota plates.
James Washee was then president of the Dene Nation. It was known as the Indian Brotherhood NWT. One day that fall, he arrived home to find some uninvited guests from the States.
AIM was there. And I had no prior contact with them. I had nothing to do with them.
But none of them knew that one guest, Doug Durham, was in fact an undercover FBI agent. He had his own plane, a Cessna, that was under constant radar and discreet physical surveillance in Canada, which led the Mounties straight to Washee's doorstep.
They told me that FBI and CIA were concerned about these individuals and that I would be possibly charged for harboring fugitives.
Over the next 5 years, Dene leaders say the program turned to disruption methods from overt surveillance.
I saw a guy taking pictures of me in the back seat of a car with the window down, and he had the camera just on the edge of the door. You couldn't miss him.
To covert operatives.
I told George, I said, I think we have an informant in our group. I said, I'll check him out.
From electronic eavesdropping.
People start tearing this building apart, and here to find a bug. Not that big.
To a break-in and theft.
After the break-in, they definitely were leaking material. It would arrive in brown paper bags at different outlets.
It's completely plausible that because of what the Mounties did do elsewhere, that they would have broken in, taken these files, probably copied them, and then to make it look like some activists stole them, then you send them to the press.
The concerns were partly fueled by the Dene Declaration of 1975. It asserted Dene nationhood and a right to self-determination within the country of Canada. The Security Service warned the next steps could include a political kidnapping and terrorist acts to reinforce their demands.
It's so far-fetched. Internally, all we can do is laugh.
Meanwhile, the Mounties were harboring concerns the Dene had systematically prostituted a royal commission inquiring into the contentious Mackenzie Valley pipeline project to advance their land claims.
That's ludicrous. That's stupid.
There was at least one cop who said no.
I said, these guys are pretty harmless.
Robert Eifert was a uniformed policeman when he met a security service officer working on the Dene investigation. He was in the security branch before, so he understands the tactics, but he also understands the North, so he told the security service the concerns were unfounded.
I was able to assure him that the names he mentioned to me, they're not doing anything unlawful.
Ultimately, it was all for nothing. In 1978, a senior Mountie acknowledged 5 years of investigation dispelled all concerns. They were directing paid sources against a legitimate Native group.
I think there should be a national inquiry into the conduct of the RCMP.
As for the targets, Francois Paulette is a member of the Order of Canada. Stephen Kakfwi became Premier of the Northwest Territories. Gloria George was the first woman to lead a major national Indigenous organization. George Erasmus led the Assembly of First Nations, the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, and more. They struggled, they suffered, they persevered. So what does accountability look like for this? It's a question they wrestle with now, 50 years later, that the truth is out of the shadows.
There is still so much to uncover. Brett continues to follow this. We'll have much more later this week on our website, cbc.ca/Indigenous. We're back next with The Moment. You are looking at 11-year-old Caden Ferrer chucking a basketball backwards in the last second of his 5th grade championship game in Laurel, Maryland. So to his and everyone's surprise, it went in. His team took the title. His backwards buzzer beater shot makes our moment.
When I saw that there was no time left, I was going for the rebound, but my teammate already got the rebound. I was just going back while looking at the time, and I saw that he passed it to me, and I knew that I had no time, so I just shot the ball. I didn't think it was going to go in, so I was like... I was super excited.
When he shot it, I was like, there is no way, there is no way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he made it. I was about to storm the court. I was really about to storm the court. My wife had to pull me back.
One of my teammates' dad, he came on the court, and the coaches, they like were looking at each other like, how did he make that?
The whole crowd, all the fans, all the parents, even some parents from the other team just went ballistic. Some people play basketball their whole life and never make a buzzer beater. It's something he's going to remember until the end of time.
Caden, look what you did. I mean, here in Canada, we often think about the buzzer beater of Kawhi Leonard in that last second, but Kawhi's got nothing on you. At least he was facing the basket. Well done, you. From all of us at the National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.